And welcome to the Viper Bytes, where we talk a little bit about everything and a lot about nothing. No, just kidding. We're going to go through training camp battles currently right now, going on through the NFL. We are going to hit every division, but today we are going to focus on the AFC North. We are going to travel from Baltimore down to Cincinnati, over to Pittsburgh, and finally into Cleveland. That said, we're going to start this off with the Baltimore Ravens because they got some interesting battles going on right now in camp, and they're on the pass-catching side more than anything, and that is with the wide receivers and the tight ends. Let's talk about this wide receiver shakedown currently right now. They have a log jam of receivers right now with Marquise Brown, Sammy Watkins, Rashad Bateman, Miles Boykin, Tylan Wallace, Devin Duvernay, just to name a few. We can pretty much guess that the top three positions are going to be Hollywood Brown, Sammy Watkins, and Rashad Bateman, although I'm a strong believer in never Sammy. That said, who's that fourth wide receiver option going to be? Is it going to be Miles Boykin? Is it going to be Tylan Wallace? Is it going to be Devin Duvernay? Miles Boykin had that athletic, freakish type of RAS score. You know, he jumped out of the gym. He performed well. He's seen his draft stock go up due to a strong combine, which we have not seen translate into the National Football League yet. Tylan Wallace, big-time numbers, big-time player out of Oklahoma State. Definitely a little bit on the smaller side, but he has that little bit of a Steve Smith type thing going on for him. And Devin Duvernay played well down the stretch to earn more playing time as the season went on. So basically, we can make a strong argument that Devin Duvernay is probably the lead dog in the house here for that wide receiver 4 spot. I really see it coming down to Wallace and Duvernay. I think Miles Boykin's time in Baltimore is numbered. I think he's had his opportunities and has not made good on any of those yet. So look for this to come down to Wallace and Duvernay with the rookie conceding the position for now and seeing how that all breaks down. Now, we want to talk about some pass catchers now. We know Mark Andrews is cemented into that tight end 1 role. Last year, they kind of went on with a little bit of the likes of Boyle. He kind of got in there a little bit. But now we're looking at Josh Oliver, Eric Tomlinson, Eli Wolf, Jacob Breland, Tony. Oh, boy, forgive me for mispronouncing your name. Tony Pelagian. You know, are all guys who are going to be battling for that number 2 spot. And let's not forget about Ben Mason somehow factoring in. And Patrick Ricard, is he going to play tight end? Is he going to play defensive end? Is he going to play? Who knows where Ricard's going to play? But he's kind of the jack of all trades that they can kind of move in and out of that lineup. I honestly love Josh Oliver. Loved his tape coming out of college. He is the most athletically gifted of that bunch. So, you know what? If we're looking for who's the guy to step up in the absence of Mark Andrews, if that ever happens, for me, it's got to be Josh Oliver. Now, for those ITB freaks and geeks out there right now, we have to talk about that pass rush. Matt Judon gone. So how do they replace him? Well, they went off and drafted a couple guys there, and Jason Owahi and Dalen Hayes of Notre Dame. They're both there. They re-signed Tyus Bowser. Pernell McPhee is there. Jalen Ferguson and Calais Campbell they brought back. So we're looking at this. Who's going to be that edge presence? Now, if you're asking me, I love Owie. Man, out of Penn State, the dude is a freak of nature. Loved his game tape. Loved what he could do. A couple of years ago, he had that ability to get to the quarterback. Last year in college, we didn't really see it, but we've seen his grade go up in the run game, which I think is very important. So watch for Owie to be that guy to make that big step. And again, don't fact check me. Don't check my way I pronounce things because I'm going to say so many names wrong as we go through this whole video. Moving on to Cincinnati. Man, this is going to be fun to watch. This offense if that offensive line, let me backtrack. If that offensive line can stay intact and perform to average to above average and give Joe Burrow and protect him off the get-go, they've got maybe arguably 3 of the top wide receivers in the young wide receivers in the game, and Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins all in place. Now, last time that Chase was with Joe Burrow, all they did was go for 84 receptions, 1,780 yards, 20 touchdowns, which works out to 21.2 yards per reception. If he can even come close to that, I think they're going to have an absolute connection. We talked about Cincinnati's management has talked about the reason that they got Jamar Chase was that familiarity with Joe Burrow. Key factors there. Now, Joe Burrow only played 10 games last year, threw for about 2,700 yards, just shy of 2,700 yards, along with 13 touchdowns. Now, when we look at how that was distributed amongst the other wide receivers there, and Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, we see that in those 10 games, Each receiver only had 2 games in which they had over 100 yards receiving, and they each only had 5 touchdowns apiece. So of those 13 touchdowns last year that Joe Burrow threw, 10 of them were to Tyler Boyd and to T. Higgins, and pretty evenly balanced out. What do I expect of this trio going into 2021? Much the same. I really think it is going to be spread out pretty evenly between the 3 pass catchers, with Joe Mixon factoring in there as well. Now, I'm on this IDP kick. We talked about the pass rush in Baltimore. Let's talk about the linebacking core in Cincinnati. It was horrible against the run last year. We're looking at a combination of Jermaine Pratt, Logan Wilson, and Akeem Davis Gaither, and it's going to be tough to differentiate who that third linebacker is going to be, how that trio is going to work out, and is Marcus Bailey going to be able to make a big enough impression in camp to steal one of those 3 starting linebacker positions away? Because that's going to be huge, because we know teams are going to feel comfortable enough to run against the Bengals, and there's going to be an opportunity for lots of IDP points to come out of that linebacking core. And don't forget, Joseph, oh boy, don't make me say his name again, Ase, come on, correct me if I'm wrong, a pass rusher out of Texas, man. This guy can play. He can come off the edge. If the Bengals want to get a pass rush, look for Ase to come in on 3rd down. Next up, Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's head over to Pittsburgh and talk about what they have going on. Much like the Bengals trio of Chase, Higgins, and Boyd, Pittsburgh has their own trio of pass catchers in Juju Smith-Schuster, Diontae Johnson, and Chase Claypool. Now, this is fantastic, because if you look at, we talk about how evenly distributed the ball was in Cincinnati and the potential to be that distribution. Pittsburgh's very similar in that too. Last year, Juju Smith-Schuster, 97 catches, 831 yards, 9 touchdowns. Diontae, 88 receptions, 923 yards, 7 touchdowns. Chase Claypool, 62 receptions, 873 yards, 9 touchdowns. What's that mean? PPR, Juju Smith-Schuster is probably the guy to go. His ADP is pretty low because Diontae Johnson's coming up on him. But I think right now, Juju Smith-Schuster has a value to him right now as far as fantasy football drafts are going. And you probably get him a little bit cheaper right now than the trajectory that Diontae Johnson's currently on. Now, in leagues in which you get points for drop passes, maybe Diontae Johnson's the guy you want on your roster. But you look at this, pretty even distribution amongst them. Juju has the bigger value based on those 9 touchdowns, but Chase Claypool also had those 9 touchdowns, but fewer receptions. The yards were pretty much evenly spaced, 831, 873, 923. So don't think yards are going to play much into it. So if you're looking for PPR, the guy you're going to want is probably Juju Smith-Schuster. Redraft, Chase Claypool might be good if his role even expands on that offense. An interesting battle in camp is going to be that running back 2, running back 3, running back 4 kind of thing they got going on. We know Najee Harris is the real deal at running back. Who is going to be his backup? Who's going to see opportunity when and if Najee Harris goes down? We got Benny Snell, who's been there, done that. We got McFarland. We've got Jalen Samuels. We've got Kalen Ballage as well coming back from the Chargers. Performed incredibly well for the Chargers in the absence of Austin Eckler and everything else that kind of went down in the past. Now, I really see this coming down to McFarland and Samuel kind of being those gadget type guys. They're going to get their role on 3rd down. That's going to be an opportunity. So the guy that I'm looking at here is between Benny Snell and of Kalen Ballage and how that's going to break down. We've seen Snell last year. We know the team's invested in him with draft picks. So he does have that draft pick investment, but I don't think he's a lock for this roster based on what we've seen in the past. And I don't know how comfortable he should feel, especially with the acquisition of Kalen Ballage coming to town. Both Ballage and Snell are that power back type guy. They're the bigger bodies. They're both quality backups. They're short yard specialists, so to speak, and both can contribute somewhat on special teams. We've seen how effective Ballage could be last year. We did not see that from Snell. I would not be shocked to see Kalen Ballage as the backup to Najee Harris last year with Samuels and McFarland kind of factoring in somewhere as that dual threat type option. At tight end, oh boy, how long can Eric Ebron hold off Pat Freiermuth? That's going to be the question in camp. It's going to be the question coming out of camp. Ben's probably going to trust Eric Ebron, but if Eric Ebron's habit of dropping passes creeps up on him at any point in the season, look for Pat Freiermuth to come in and make an immediate impact. We know that tight ends typically coming in as rookies do not make that impact right away. I think Freiermuth has that opportunity based on this offense that they run in Pittsburgh and how they spread that ball around to come in and be effective and be someone you want to get on those rosters, especially in tight end premium leagues. Now, finally, let's head to the Cleveland Browns. Let's go to the dog pound. Let's talk wide receivers some more. We've talked wide receivers just about everywhere we've been. Let's keep it going with the Cleveland Browns. We've got a battle at the wide receiver 3 spot. We know Odell Beckham Jr. has got himself in that number 1A. We know Jarvis Landry's got himself in that 1B. Who's going to be that wide receiver 3? Is it going to be Donovan Peoples-Jones? Is it going to be Rashad Hollywood Higgins? Is it going to be the rookie Anthony Schwartz, who's coming in to stretch the field? Now, let's take a little bit of a closer look at this. It seems to be a 2-horse race off with Peoples-Jones and Higgins off the get-go, with Anthony Schwartz coming in as that guy to stretch the field on third down and possibly, late in games when they want to try and hit that home run. Now, we look at this. There's also Kaderl Hodge in there factoring, but I don't think he's going to be factoring very much. Anyway, now Higgins has the upper hand, in my opinion. Drafted in the 5th round in 2016. He's already spent 5 seasons. This is his 6th season with the Browns. I believe last year he put up about 599 yards, 16.2 yards per reception. We look at this. He's the guy who stepped up in the absence of Odell Beckham Jr. last year into that number 2 role as Jarvis Landry moved into that number 1 by himself. Now, Higgins has been that security blanket. He's got that chemistry developed with Baker Mayfield already, and I don't quite think Peoples-Jones is quite there yet. He still has some room to grow in his game, and if he can make that leap, then maybe he can challenge Higgins for that wide receiver 3 spot. But right now, Rashad Higgins is that guy you want as a wide receiver 3 with the Cleveland Browns. And why not? Let's keep going with some IDP talk too, because this is interesting for me with the Cleveland Browns, because we know they've got some serious pass rush coming off the edge in Myles Garrett and newly acquired Jadeveon Clowney. These guys are going to be able to feed off each other and put up some serious points. Now, what they're going to need is something in the middle. Both Larry Ogunjobi and Sheldon Richardson have moved on. Ogunjobi going to Cincinnati. Sheldon Richardson's going off to the Minnesota Vikings. So what's that mean? That means Andrew Billings, who was brought in last year, who did not play due to COVID, he's going to be looking to step up. Jordan Elliott's going to be looking to step up. Malik Jackson, Tommy, man, why do I get all these hard names to pronounce? Tommy Togiai, he's going to be there, the rookie out of Ohio State. And Sheldon Day is still somewhat there. Now, Billings is that big guy in the middle, 330 plus pounds, kind of looking to clog up that run game so much. And that's why they brought him in. You got the rookie, Tommy Togiai. Nice selection, 4th round, Ohio State. Didn't play a lot, was kind of a rotational guy, but dude is a freak of nature when it comes to size and power. He's only 6'2", 300 pounds, put up 40-plus reps at 225. This guy is strong. Farm strong. If he can come in there, move that pile, anchor that point of attack down, and allow the edge rushers to get to him, he's going to get in there as well. Malik Jackson's probably the best combination of a run stopper and pass rusher that the Browns have at the defensive tackle position. We've seen him do this throughout his career in Denver, in Jacksonville, most recently in Philadelphia. He's going to factor in, and we're going to see Jordan Elliott. Obviously, he played 309 snaps there last year for the Cleveland Browns, registered about 15 tackles. If Elliott gets in the backfield a little bit more, some tackles for loss, some sacks, then I think the Browns are going to be in good shape. But if we want to see those edge rush numbers come up, we have to make sure that that underbelly on that defensive line up the middle is solidified. If it does not get solidified, then you can expect IDP numbers lower for Myles Garrett, and Jadeveon Clowney may not take that jump that we're hoping to. Now, when I say that jump that we're hoping to, Jadeveon Clowney's never been a 10 sack a season guy. He has that potential. He's really good against the run. We've always wanted more out of him when it comes to the pass rush. Now, when everyone saw Myles Garrett going already there in Cleveland and Jadeveon Clowney signing with the Browns, we're like, okay, this is the year for Jadeveon Clowney to step up and get those 10 sacks because the tension is going to be on Myles Garrett. But if the Browns cannot anchor the point of attack in the middle, teams are going to run draws and dives right up the gut every single time, and we're not going to see the Browns get those edge rushers for the Browns get to the quarterback as often as we would like. Again, thank you for joining us. This is the look at the training camp battles at the AFC North. Stay with us. We got more shows coming to you down the road, more training camp talk, and more sleepers. We're going to talk some busts. We're going to talk about top players under 25. So make sure you're tuning in for that. Glad to join us.